Hello everyone and welcome back to Code with Beto. In this video we are going to learn how to create this beautiful Symbols Lab application, taking advantage of the new library from Expo called Expo Symbols. And so if you want to learn more, actually you can check out this changelog in the Expo dev page. But basically they recently created this library that contains icons for iOS devices. So if we go to the FS symbols here, you'll notice that Apple releases these symbols for Apple platforms. So you can take advantage of these for iOS devices in your React Native application. So we're going to learn how to integrate them. So let's see the demo. I'll just go here to the right. This is what we're going to be building. As you can see, we have the search bar. So when I press here, just start typing and we are going to have a filter, right? So just by pressing a couple keys, then I'll select a symbol. And what we're going to be doing is just, tweaking around these symbols, taking advantage of all the properties that we can change. And we're going to learn how to animate them as well. So there's many things that we can change. Actually, as you can see here, we can change the weight. We can change the color. We can select multicolor in this case, or palette. Palette will take an array of colors and you can change the colors, of course. But for example, let's select that one. Then we can change the color, for example, orange or white. And you can play around with these variants. And finally, we can also animate these icons and we can even repeat these kind of animations. It looks very smooth because at the end of the day, this is a native feature of iOS devices, which is really nice. We can also use polls, right? That looks good as well. And we can scale. So the scale, we can scale down or scale up in this specific animation, or we can just select none, right? And just turn this off. So yeah, this is basically what we're gonna be building, guys. As you can see, we have many icons here and we can just choose one and start playing around. I think this is a good application to have. And also, if you want to learn how to build it, stick till the end. We're gonna be using Expo Router for the navigation. And a cool thing about this is that it's also compatible with light mode, as you can see. So it's going to look nice in both. You can play around in light and dark mode. And yeah, before you actually integrate these symbols in your app. Or if you just want to learn more about this library, I think this video is going to be perfect for you. Alrighty guys, so before we start, just want to mention that if you go to codewithbeto.dev, in the project section, you're going to find this application. As soon as I finish this video, you should be able to see it here, the first one. Also, if you want to see, more applications that we have been building in this channel, you can just go here and check all the applications that we have here for free. You can find the video, you can find as well the GitHub and YouTube links. Okay. And also, if you want to become a master in React Native or a master in React with TypeScript, with web applications using the latest frameworks like Next.js, or if you want to master Git as well, check out the courses that we have here at codewithbeto.dev. All right, now that being said, let's actually start building this app. Alrighty guys, so the first thing that I want to do is actually create a new Expo application. So I'll just use yarn, create Expo app, and then I can give it a name, for example, symbols, video, and then hit enter. This will create a new application for us using the latest template from Expo, which comes with navigation integrated. We're gonna be using Expo Router for this app. So yeah, let's wait for a second. All right, so our application is ready. I'll cd into the symbols video folder. And before I open this in VS Code, I want to install some dependencies. So I'll use yarn add and then Expo Symbols. This is the library for the symbols. And then I also want a React Native segmented control. So this segmented control is basically what we are using to manage these options that we are playing with down here. These two are the only libraries that we need. So let's go ahead and hit enter. All right, and that was quick. Now, one thing to notice, guys, is that this React Native segmented control library requires that we use a development build for our Expo application. So in order to use a dev build, we need to pre-build this project. So I'll run the command npx expo pre-build. This will generate the native folders for iOS and Android. So let's go ahead and actually just run this for iOS, since this is going to work only for iOS. By the way, you can still use the component for the symbols in Android using a fallback, and I will teach you how to do it later in this video. Now let's pre-build. This will ask me for the bundle identifier for my app. I'll just leave the one that comes as default and hit enter. This will take a moment, so let's wait. All right, now let's open this in VS Code by running the command code. Okay, so here we are in VS Code. The first thing that I want to do is open my terminal and just build this application by running yarn iOS. This will run this application in the iOS simulator that we have here. Okay, so let's wait for a second. In the meantime, while the build is processing, let's actually just see the layout of this project. Like I mentioned before, this is the template that comes when you create a new Expo application. It's using the Expo router. So we have this folder with app, and then we have some tabs and some layout and some, other things. This is basically the navigation that is inside this app folder. Then we also have some assets for fonts and images. Finally, we have these components. Something that is really nice about this template is that we have the theme text and theme view, which means this will be compatible with dark and light mode, right? And then we also have some hooks and some constants that we can use for the color scheme and things like that. All right. So, so we're gonna be using a list of symbols, guys. And for these, actually, I want to paste here in my Explorer. Let me paste here this symbols.db, and basically it's a huge array that contains all the symbols that we can use with this library. And actually I went ahead and commented some of them because this list is very large and we have many components, and the application is going to be a little bit slow. Maybe to make this list a little faster, we could use a library like flash list, but for the sake and the simplicity of this video, I'll just go ahead and slice this array. But yeah, if you want to get these these symbols, just go to codewithbeto.dev. In the projects, you'll find the source code for this video, and you can copy paste if you want, or you can just simply use the symbols by typing the name manually. All right. So that's one thing that we need. So I'll go ahead and close this for now. And in the meantime, while my application is processing still, I'll go ahead and delete the tabs since we are not going to be using it. So I'll just move it to the trash. And then let's go to the layout. Okay. So in the layout, so this is basically the entry point of the application. As you can see, we have this tabs screen here, which was the main entry point. I'll go ahead and delete this and hit save. And now the app is ready. As you can see here in the simulator, is asking me if I want to open it. So I'll click open and the application it's building. So we should see this screen now. Yeah, and this is working. This screen does not exist, which is correct. And I'll just change the name of this, this not found screen, which is the one that we are seeing here. I changed the name to be my index. Okay, and the index would be this file, right? So I'll just change this to be index.tsx and hit enter, and here I'll hit save. Okay, so I'll be using this as my index, right? So this will be my screen where I'll be you know, getting my list of symbols and then displaying them. So the first thing that we should do maybe is just, take a look at what we have here. We have this unmatched routes on the right, and we should see something like this screen does not exist. So I'll go ahead and reload since I changed the name of this file. Now we are able to see it, right? This screen does not exist. So I'll just delete this for now and delete this link as well. Actually, I'll go ahead and delete this theme view and hit save. And this is how it looks. Now I'll change this oops to be my symbol lab. And then we can add an emoji here. So, oops, my emoji didn't came through. Just select that again and hit save. All right, this is going to be our main screen. And yeah, this is how it looks. Let me delete these styles. We're not gonna be using them. And delete this as well. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is grab my symbols, right? From my file that I copy paste here, my symbols DB is just an array with the names of the symbols. So let's grab that and put it in. Let's just actually go ahead and import it. So I'll say symbols DB, and this will come from my symbols. And then here I will create a list. So I'll say flat list, and I will import this from React Native. Okay, so the flat list is going to be a list that takes data, and I'll pass the symbols. And then we also need to specify which item we want to render for each symbol, and this will return the item here actually. So let's grab the item as well as the index of each item. Okay, and finally let's render a text. So let's use a theme text that comes with the template and just render the item. This is going to be a string, and yeah, let's hit save. All right, and as you can see, we have here all the data, and we have many icons. We have a lot actually. And just for the simplicity of this video, we can leave all of them if we want, but we can do also a slice maybe just when we are developing this app so that we don't load everything, and this will slide the array from just to 100 items. All right, but before I do that, I want to also support the ability to search, and the search should be through the header, right? So because we're using Expo Router, we are able to come here and just provide some header options inside the options. So I'll do header, search options, search bar options. And in here we can say on change text, and this will return an event, and we can actually get the text, right? So let's store this text in a use state variable. So before I do that, I want to import all as React from React. All right, and then let's save this in a use state variable. This will be a string, and let's put it search text and set search text. Okay, this will hold the search element here. So let's say set search text. We need to grab the text, but the text will come inside this event in something called native event.text. And let's hit save. All right. Now I'm not able to see this header. As you can see here, we don't see anything. The reason for that, I believe, is because we need to have some sort of, let me actually reload maybe. Maybe that's why. Okay, so if I reload, as you can see, we're able to see the search. And this is, native, which is very nice. We have this really cool animation. And by the way, this is completely compatible with light mode still. So yeah, let's go back to dark mode for now. Nice. So we have the text, here, we are storing this text in this search text. Now we need to filter these items. The way we can do that is by using, there's many ways we can do it, but in this case, we need to create like a copy of these, symbols, and then we can filter them every time we update this search text, right? So for that, let's use a variable called filtered symbols. And then let's use memo. Okay, use memo will help us memoize the filter items. So this will take a function, an array of dependencies. We want to trigger this function every time that the search text changes, as well as the symbols DB. Okay, and inside this function, we can simply return symbols DB, and then we can slice, right? I don't want to have all these items, so I will slice this to 500. The second thing that I want to do is filter, and then filter will take a function, and this will return each symbol. And this function, we can say something like symbol to lowercase to make sure that even if they are searching in upper or lowercase, we get the values. So then we can say includes search text dot to lowercase as well. To lowercase. Okay, that should be enough. And hit save. All right. Now instead of iterate over these symbols DB, we can iterate over the filter symbols. And now let's try this out. If I go and search for circle dot fill, we will get all these circles. Let's try to search for something like apple or just app. And as you can see, the filter is working fine. Now, one thing is that, we have these items that are being covered by the header. The way we can fix that is by adding a safe area view here, by importing this from React Native, and I wrap the flat list. And now we have, these items inside, after the search. Okay, cool. Now let's type app, and this should be working just fine. Alrighty, now we are ready to start, doing some more complicated things like creating a symbol and rendering this symbol for each item in this list. So let's go to the components folder. I'll create a new file called symbol item.tsx. Oops, I meant tsx here. Okay, and let's export default function symbol item. This will return a view. So this symbol item, it's a special component that will be a pressable technically. So every time that I press this component, I want to navigate to a new screen so that we can display more details about this component or about this symbol, right? So let's create a link from Expo Router. We use links to navigate through the app, and we can pass an href. So the href would be the route. Let's go ahead and create a new screen. This screen is going to be symbol lab.tsx. Okay, so this is my screen. We can work on this one later, but for now we can come back here and pass an object specifying the path name, and the path name would be the symbol lab. And then we can also specify some things like params. These params can take an object, and you can pass any parameters that you want to access in the other screen. In this case, I want to pass the symbol. So the symbol is going to be actually a property, which is a string that we can get from the parent component. So the symbol is going to be of type SF symbol, and we can import this type from Expo Symbols, as you can see here. Cool. So from here, what I want to do is just pass this symbol every time that I navigate to the screen. Now this link, it's just a link. It's not like a button. So to make sure that we have a visual feedback, I will use a touchable opacity here from React Native. And then to make sure that, we use the touchable opacity for the navigation, we can mark this link as child. Okay, and then just leave the touchable opacity like that. Finally, I will create my symbol view, and this will come from the library Expo Symbols, as you can see there. And this will take a name, which we will pass directly from the properties. Okay, so this is the name of the symbol, and then I can pass the tint color. The color of this could be white for now, and the size I will be using 30. And then we need, we can also specify a style. I just do a margin right of 11, and then border, just the margin right to give it a little bit of space, and hit save. Okay, so let's go back to the index, and in the flat list, instead of rendering this view, I will render my new component symbol item. Remember guys that this will take my symbol, right? And the symbol is a string technically, so I'll pass this item here. Now we also need to specify the key for this. Okay, the key will be the index, and hit save. Okay, and as you can see on the right side, now we are able to see all these symbols. Now the cool thing about using flat list is that we have these property columns, num columns, right? And this would be, an integer, and we can specify the number of columns that we want to have. In this case, I want 9. Now this will break my app, but if I reload, this will work just fine. And just to make sure that we have some spacing between rows, I'll have a content container style in my flat list, and then padding of 16 and gap of 16 as well, and hit save. All right, and now this looks good, right? And if we try to type even with the keyboard, we should be able to see some items every time we type. Okay, now if I press one of these items, we will try to navigate to this symbol lab screen, passing the symbol as parameter to the screen. But one thing that I want to fix before I go, if I change this to be light mode, because I'm using white, this will break. So let's use a color that is going to change based on the schema. So I'll use a theme color, and this hook actually comes with the template. As you can see, it's inside the hooks folder, use theme color. So I will be using this to know the theme, right? And then this will take actually some properties. The first one would be the light color, and we can also use colors that come in the constants with this template. So I'll use the light text for this, and then I'll use a from the colors as well, dark for dark. I use this icon and hit save. Okay, and the second one is going to be the color name. Color name is going to be text. And now we can use this color instead of hard coding this white, and hit save. Okay, so every time that I switch, now this will switch again. Very nice. Cool. So let's leave it in dark mode for now. This is looking fine. All right, and let's now work on this symbols lab screen. This is the cool screen that we're gonna be using. Now let's just pause for a second here. You can use actually, guys, this symbol view for Android as well. So for Android, you cannot use, of course, these symbols. These symbols are just for iOS, but you can have a fallback here. And this fallback, it will take basically a component and you can render anything here. For example, a theme text. And, we can say, this is a fallback for Android. Of course, you may want to, sorry, I think this won't take the function, just the component. And this fallback, this is just a component, but sometimes when you want to have, let's say, a home symbol, and you cannot use that in Android, you can just have a fallback with an SVG or an image or whatever you need, and still clean, this component still clean and looks good, okay? So you don't need to have, like a crazy validation. Just provide the fallback and you should be good to go. Okay. So let's go to the symbols lab. Let's actually start working on this. I'm going to import all as React from React. Okay. And let's export the full function. This is going to be called symbol lab, and return just an empty tag. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do in this screen is actually get my symbol that I'm passing when I'm navigating to this screen. Okay. So I'm passing this symbol property. The way we can get it is using a route. So if I use the hook use route from React navigation, we can just grab the symbol from this route by saying dot params dot symbol. But this is breaking right now because we don't know what's going on after params. So we can type this by using the generic type route prop, and this is going to take the type that we expect. So we have the params, and these params have an object that will contain a symbol, right? And the type of the symbol is actually SF symbol from Expo Symbols. This is a type that we can import from the library. And then if I go back to my params and I do dots, I can use this symbol. Cool. So here I can have maybe, I want to actually start I want to customize my header, but for now, let's just use a theme view, a theme text, and let's just render the symbol name. And I think we can specify the type text, and this will be a title, and let's hit save. And let's test this out by pressing just on any of these. Okay, and this is working great. We are navigating to this screen, but we have this default navigation, right? The car presentation, and looks good. I kind of like it, but I want to have this screen as modal. The other thing to notice is that the symbol is coming good. We have the name perfectly fine and everything works great. But to change the presentation, we need to go back to the layout and actually add a new screen to this stack. The name of this screen is going to be symbol lab, right? And here we can change the options. So one of the options is the presentation, and I want this as modal. Okay, let's navigate again. And as you can see, this is working just fine. So if you want to navigate back from this screen, you can actually use a header back, header left. This will take a component, and this component can be like a button, for example. So let's create a button from React Native, and the title will be cancel. Okay, and hit name and hit save. And you can see we have this button. And the cool thing about this is that if I change this to light mode, still looks good. And yeah, let's go back to dark mode again. Now I want to navigate back, right? We could use, navigation.navigate, go back, but a better way, since we are using since we're using router, Expo router, it's using the link from Expo router. So I'll go ahead and wrap this button in the link, and then to keep using the button and the style of the button, I will use this as child. And to navigate to the previous screen, we can simply just pass a slash here. Okay, and if I press now on the cancel, we should be able to go back. Okay, and it's working fine. Very simple. We customize this, very simple just by adding it to the layout. But if you don't want to add it, you can just push it directly from here, and this will push the view into the navigation stack, and we should be able to still see the symbol lab. But if you want to customize it, you now know how you can do it. Okay. So let's create a symbol view here. I will put this symbol view inside a view from React Native just to have a container. Let's import symbol view from the library. And in here, actually, we're going to start using all the features that we can use with the symbol view, which are a lot, to be honest. The first one is going to be the name, of course. So let's use the symbol. And actually, I think I want to change the name of this symbol. So this variable, I want to say symbol name. And then I can change this to symbol name and in here as well. I think it's a better naming. Cool, so now I'm passing just a name and we are able to see the symbol here. So that's cool. So the first thing that I want to check here is that I want to use, this screen title. I want to have it as the symbol name. We can do that very easily using this stack from Expo router, this one. So this stack, we can access the screen, and once we're in the screen, we can define some options as well. And I'll use the header title option to specify that the title of this route would be the symbol name. If I hit save, you can see that now the route contains the name. And if I do navigate to any other one, we should be able to still see this route name. Very cool. So now I can delete this text and just leave the symbol. Okay, so a couple of, UI changes that I want to do here is just provide a size of 250. Okay, I think that looks better. I want to add a style for this symbol. So let's do style. And I want to say align, self, center. I'll be writing, a little bit of inline style. I think that's okay for this tutorial. And then I want to add, some styling as well for this. I'll add a padding of 16 so that we have, some spacing. And I'll also add a gap of 12. In case we have more items inside here, they'll have a separation of 12, right? Cool. So the first property that I want to start working on is going to be the weight. So weight, guys, we can actually specify all these weights here, like black and light. Okay, so this is actually the advantage of using symbols. We can customize them and even animate them. Okay, so because we want to have the options to select the weight on screen, I'll be using a theme text and I'll just say weight, hit save. And the type of this will be bold, default semi-bold. Okay, that's how it looks. Then we will have a segmented control. All right, this is the library that we installed at the beginning. And just so you know, we are importing these from this library. Okay, so let's go back. The segmented control view, it's very easy to use. It just takes an array of values. So I want to specify the weights, right? The weights, I'll just create a simple array variable here. to contain these weights. These are the weights that we have. So now we can copy and paste it here. This will be my array. Okay, so the second thing that I want to specify is going to be the selected index. This is like the default value. I want to have the default value as the ultra light. So I'll just say weights at position length -1. Okay, hit save. And there we have it. That was very easy. Now, finally, I want to grab the item every time we change this segment, right? So we need to use this onChange event. This will return an event. And from here, we can select the weight. So I'll create a variable using useState. And I'll call it selected weight. And set selected weight. Okay, and we're gonna be using useState for this. So let's say useState. This is going to be a string, and every time we change this, we want to set the selected weight to be equal to the event dot native event dot value. Okay, and let's hit save. Now, instead of having this hard-coded weight, I can just say weight. Sorry, not weight, but current weight. Selected weight, sorry. Okay, and now TypeScript is yelling at me because this was supposed to be of type symbol weight. So let's go ahead and use this type here by saying as symbol weight, and let's import this from the library. There we go. So now this is working, and if I change this, we should be able to see how the symbol changes. And now from here, guys, we actually have to do pretty much the same thing, but I wrap this in a tag view, and then we can copy paste. I'll copy paste this, and the second thing that I want to do is choose the variant, right? We have variants as well. And if I go here, it's actually not a variant, but it's going to be the type. So the type can be one of these four. I think hierarchical is the first one, the default one. No, that's not the one. Monochrome. Yeah, monochrome is the default one. Then we can also have multicolor, and finally palette. Each one of these options, as you can see, this is not changing anything because we need to provide as well an array of colors when we are using something like palettes. I'll add these colors, and then if you are using palette, we will use these colors. I mean, the component will use these colors for the icon or the symbol. But if I change this to, let's say, monochrome, you know, it's white. Sorry, it's blue again. So for the types, let's create a new array here after the weights. And I'll go ahead and type this. We can, you know, maybe we can just don't type this and then just leave it like that so that it's easier to understand. And then let's use these types to give the options here. Now the default type is going to be at position 0 in this case. So let's hit save. And instead of selecting the weight, we want to select the variant. So let's change this to be selected variant and set selected variant. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go back and put it here, hit save. And now instead of having this hard-coded, we can use this selected variant as, and let's check the type, symbol type. Let's copy, paste, import, and hit save. And we fixed it. All right, so yep, we have these variants. We can play around with them, as you can see here. Now, some things to notice, like I mentioned before, if we're using palette, we need to have this array of colors. The multicolor won't work in all of the symbols, but in some of them you'll have two colors. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We also have a tint color variable or property here, and this tint color can be, like an orange, for example. It's safe, and if you are specifying the tint color, this will overwrite the default colors, right? But you can still use the hierarchical variable to give it, to give it like this feel. I really like this feel actually, like two different opacities. I think, the first one has like full 1, and then we have like an 80 in the second layer. Yeah, we can also specify palette, but this won't work since we are specifying the tint color. So what we can do here, if we're gonna be using the tint color, maybe you can have a validation like if we have a selected variant that is palette like this, then we don't want anything here. Otherwise, we want the color. All right, and now it will work. Okay, cool. Now let's move on to the next one. This is going to be the animations, which is, one of the most interesting ones. So we can specify this animation spec, and this will take an object. Now, we need to specify a couple of things here. The first one is going to be the effect. The effect is going to take an object with the type of effect. And you can see we have these three types. In this case, I can say bounce or pulse or scale. Then we can also specify direction. And actually this is yelling at me now because I didn't specify a type. But the direction as well, this will be either up or down. So we can also code, have some variables for that. Then we also have something called a whole symbol. This is a boolean. We can say true or false. And this whole symbol basically is saying if you want to animate the entire symbol at the same time, or if this is false, the animation will go like a wave. Maybe it will start with the outside of the icon, and then we'll start animating like a wave. But for now, I'll just, I will omit this option. Then after the effect, we can use like repeat count or repeating. This is true or false. We can also have a variable for this. So before, hard code these things, let's go ahead and create some variables that will handle these cases. I'll be using useState as well. So I will create this selected direction, repeat animation. This is going to be a boolean equal to false, and then selected animation. Okay, we have these three state variables. Now let's use them. Selected direction. Let's go down here and put it here. And this is going to be either up or down, right? So we can say as up or down. And then the type. So I'll do selected type. Wait, what is the name of this one? Selected animation. And the type for this would be animation type. So I'll say animation as animation type from Expo Symbols as well. Cool. Now, what's the other one? Repeating. So we have a variable for that, repeat animation. Let's hit save. All right. Now we have the default values so far. Let's create segment views to handle these things. So for the animation, I will basically duplicate this. I will create a theme text with animation and then specify the values. Every time that we change, I'll set the selected animation. And I want to do the same for the scale. as well as the repeat. So let's hit save for now. Let's play around with the animation. We can scale, we can pulse, we can bounce, and this is what I was saying. So if I bounce, you can see that we are doing like gradually. It's not like the entire image is moving at the same time. But if I change this, whole symbol equal true, you notice that the animation, it's a little bit different. It's more like the entire square is moving at the same time. And I don't really like it, so I'll just go ahead and comment this. I think this animation is more friendly, more nice, more smooth. Yeah, this is how it looks. Now, another things to keep in mind is that when we have the scale option, we can scale either up or down. So for this, I will create a new view, but I will only present this view when the selected animation is scale, like I was saying, because we can select either up and down for the for the scale direction, right? Every time we change it, we will set the selection. So if I hit save, I can switch between down and up, all right? And this is how it looks. That is just for scale. Other than that, it will look the same. Or we can say none, okay? Cool. So I'll just scale down for now. Then finally, we need the repeat. So this is a very simple one. For the repeat, I will have a view. And for this view, I will have a switch because this is, a Boolean, and, we can just have the Boolean as a switch. And if I want to repeat, once I select, for example, bounce and set the repeat to true, this will be repeating many times. So we can hard code that, or we can just come here and say true or false. But like I was saying before, we can also check the repeat count. Let's say that I want to repeat this 2 times, and then it will finish. So this is nice for when the component mounts and you want to, have an animation there, you can do so. We can also specify the speed. Speed will be, I think, a number. So let's say 3000. I think that's faster. Yep, that's super fast. Let's say 300. Okay, that's very fast. And 30, I'm guessing it's going to be super fast. So for the animation, I'll just leave the default. I'll just go ahead and delete that. But yeah, repeat count, maybe we can just comment it for now. And yeah, guys, I think that's all I had for this video. As you can see, I mean, we can do many things, and not just for one symbol, but we can play around with the entire collection of symbols and check the width, check the variant, check the animation. This animation looks really good, and I can do actually the repeat. I think this will be nice to have. And these colors, of course, are hard-coded here, but you can change them. For example, let's change this to be red or purple or yellow. And this is how it looks. All right. Now, like I was saying, every time that we select a new icon, we will get this view and we can play around with them. These are highly customizable. And yeah, really cool. Super happy with this library. Just keep in mind that this won't work for Android devices. I would, recommend to use this library for most of your icons in iOS if you want. But keep in mind that you will have to provide a fallback for Android. Okay, so with that, guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to go to codewithbeto.dev, check out the courses, check out the premium resources. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.